Chinese by teaching them the language, customs, and history so that they could return to their ancestral village when the difficult times had passed.
The second promise was to find a suitable Chinese-American husband for her sisters, Cowboy, and other clan sisters, so that they might emigrate to America as soon as possible.
The third promise was to become an American citizen and sponsor the immigration of her mother and 2 brothers to America.
The fourth promise was to keep alive in her children the dream of a democratic nationalist China, the dream of Sun Yat-sen, the George Washington of China, who was a Cantonese like them.
The fifth promise was to keep her children connected to the village. Mother agreed to write letters describing their progress. She agreed to send back photos so they could be recognized when they returned. The photos would be mounted in her childhood home so her children's life force could join with the ancestral fires.
The sixth promise was to seek out the clan sisterhood in America and keep the sisterhood traditions alive.
The seventh promise was to cook the traditional mind-body balance and qi energy soups for her family to protect their inner qi and their outer energy body.
The eighth promise was to live her life in complete compassion, starting with her own family and clan, but especially her own birth children, then expanding out to all the people, regardless of who they were, where they came from, or whatever their livelihoods, and finally to instill this same compassion in her children.
It is the eighth promise to live with compassion toward all that I think of as the ever-living promise, the one for all of one's days. And this promise, this way of living, perhaps arising to the level of a moral path even, strikes me as the distillation of all the wisdom of my kin from a millennium of Toisanese living in one small locale, self-reliant, with the same families in each house, generation after generation, as everyone faced daily life equally at the mercy of nature, as well as the larger foibles of humanity. I think that during those last days before her departure, grandmother realized that it would be this Toisanese compassion, specifically honed by her clan experience, that would get her daughter through all her days to come in an unknown land and provide whatever it would take to fulfill the other 7 promises. In coming to embrace this last promise, Mother was clearly guided by the quiet example of my grandmother's life. Even on the eve of this momentous separation, Grandmother Chun carefully put Mother at ease about the promise to pull the rest of her family into the safety of America. Don't worry about me. Just get your sisters to America one way or another, she said kindly, assuring Mother she would be fine in Toisan or in Hong Kong if they managed to get there. Besides, she was already too old to start over in a new country anyway, Grandmother said.
Poy Jen knew these words weren't true, but that Grandmother Chun had said them because she didn't want her simple farm girl daughter to feel overwhelmed. In this kind gesture, Mother implicitly recognized that Grandmother Chun was living out the Toisanese way of caring for the emotional and mental balance of the other. Never overburden another with your needs and fears. Stay strong, endure. Most of all, trust that your children, having been raised right, will be the best people they can be, even in your absence. They will remember you and will help you, even if you never ask for it. From the day she was born, Mother had experienced the 8th promise as it was lived by her own mother and by her village aunties.